Hello, I am Centimus Prime, and this is Revrin, an alternate build I've made using the parts from the LEGO Creator set number 31145 Red Dragon. So starting off, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at Revrin himself. Now, in terms of inspiration, I don't really have much to say inspiration wise because this is really just me just like putting together another like transforming build, putting together another transforming build with the parts from the set. So we can go ahead and talk about the design for a bit. The head was probably one of the more simpler kind of head designs I've made. Like it's sort of like this weird like blue visor thing with like a little bit of with like this tooth piece here for the extra pop of tan. It's like not much going. It's more like that sort of like either like triangular like visor or like possibly even a cyclops eye sort of thing. Like not much going on there. The torso I'm actually like pretty pleased with, very pleased with. I have like the sort of S curve sort of stature going on with the torso. That's that gives it a rather interesting looking torso, but also giving it a significant amount of articulation there that I'll talk about in a minute. The arms I'm also pretty pleased with. I like how like rounded and yet spiky the shoulders are. The shoulders I feel like are built nicely. The forearms are are decent. I feel like are decent. I am pleased with like having like because there wasn't like a whole lot of pieces to like have for hands. I sort of like made these like pseudo like claw pincer hands with like for this design, and I feel like it turned up decent enough. I feel like it works well enough for what I had available. Turning him around, he does have this sort of like tail thing that is yeah, like this sort of like simplified like tail thing. It's basically just like a simplified version of one of the tails from the like creator from like the creator builds. This is mostly here to like rest up like against like the anti studs in the back, like so it just sort of rests on there to sort of prevent the hinge and the ball joint from like uh, going all kinds of crazy. So it's basically like there to have a place to rest, basically. And it's less like a tail thing. It's more like some sort of like extra back detail. But of course, if you don't want a tail, it can just be removed, and you can just have this guy without the tail. And the dude from the back, it's alright, nothing too impressive. But I think it turned out well enough. The legs, unfortunately, I feel like are my least favorite part of this. So, like, because I started with like the top half and I was working through like the top half and working my way down, I was left with not a whole lot of pieces. Didn't have a whole lot of pieces left for the legs, so I ended up with just like building like these simplified legs with like whatever pieces I had with whatever pieces I had like still left that were still usable and for what I was going for. And while it does look fine from some angles, like especially from the side, it does. I feel like it looks fine from the side, and I think it looks okay from the back. But like, especially like looking at the legs from the inside as well as from the dead front, I feel like that does not look too good. Not only that, but because of how I constructed the arms, how I constructed the legs, it's ultimately just made with that sort of joint that's just not as reliable as I would like it to be. So the legs are more prone to falling apart, like especially in the thigh area. But that is like unfortunate. I do like some like part usage. I do appreciate how I was able to utilize these macaroni pieces for the heel spurs, and like those can like pose around, so you can either have it like this so you can have like higher heels, or you can like bend them back with the ball joints so his feet can sit more flat to the ground and sit more flush to the surface. I think that turned out fine. Overall, I feel like the legs could have been constructed way better, but especially from some angles, I think it's fine enough for what I was going for. So moving over to like features slash like articulation. One feature I ended up just like throwing in is I ended up giving Revrin like this sort of lockdown, like Age of Extinction lockdown esque like gun face like conversion, because he could basically just turn his head around and basically turn his head into a gun. I just I was just like utilizing whatever parts I had at that point, and I thought that was like a pretty like neat feature. I thought, and also adds like a little bit of extra like design to his head. That does help like make his head design stand out a little bit more. As I mentioned, he does have a hinge in the back that can bend pretty far in either direction. You can crunch in and crunch and like have like a significant arching back. Plus, there's also the ball joint here that not only adds for like a rotation, but also even more movement for the torso. So his torso can move all kinds of different directions. Like you can have his torso like crunch to a huge degree. This part likes to fall off, unfortunately. It can arch back a significant amount. And of course, it can rock side to side and rotate and all that. That's nice. Arms, they're on the simple ball joint here, so they can rotate. It can move out. It can like have a little bit of butterfly movement and rotate and all that. Another ball joint for the elbows, so it can bend up to that far. It can bend back. It can move in and out, and of course rotate. And there's also articulation in the claw hands. So obviously this is on a hinge, so these can open and close. So like these little talon things can open and close, but these can also rotate due to the connection that it's connected to. So he has like a little bit of hand articulation too, which is nice. Legs The legs are unfortunately like the least articulated thing about this, because aside from like your very standard like mixed ball joints, ball jointed hips, which can like rotate up and down. It's like you can rotate, but unfortunately it will fall apart. It's more likely to fall apart. Aside from that, all you really have is a knee. Yeah, you have your ball joint, you have a knee that can bend decently, a pretty good range. And then you have the heels, which are on ball joints, and they can rotate and hinge back and all that. So overall, articulation is fine. Oh yeah, and then there's whatever's for the tail, the like ratcheting hinge, and of course the extra ball joint here. So in terms of articulation, it's pretty good. I feel like it's pretty good. The legs leave a bit to be desired, but overall it has reasonable articulation. And so moving on to size comparison, here he is. Here's Revrin next to a minifigure. So you can see that he's an okay, like decent size. And comparing him to a previous alternate build, here he is next to Articulation. And you can see like from head to head, like Articulation is like ever so slightly taller. And like overall Articulation is like heftier and it's like more densely built. But Revrin, it has like more broader shoulders. Revrin is a bit wider, I feel like. And obviously the like tail doesn't add much to the bulkiness and stuff. It's like Revrin has like decently bulky arms. Has like pretty bulky arms. But aside from that, Revrin is kind of slim. So in terms of parts that were left over after the build, we have these. And not a whole lot was left over from the build. Got... Yeah, that's basically it. Like, obviously a notable thing was I wasn't going to add the eyes for this build, nor the like pink boat piece. There's also a couple other pieces that I wasn't able to like add on after the fact. So like but to be fair, that's not a whole lot of leftover parts from this build. So there is that at least. So now moving on to transformation, because despite how simplistic the design is, this dude is still one of those like triple changers that I've done. It's a more simplistic triple changer sort of thing. So starting off with vehicle mode. Now let's go ahead and start off with vehicle mode. So for vehicle mode, let's move the tail out of the way. Let's turn the head around. Let's straighten up the arms a bit. Rotate them back this way. Like tilt them up this way. Do the same for this one. And then move the arms so that these slope parts kind of point upwards. Then after that, you rotate the talon thing so that they're pointed more or less like that. Then after that, you utilize the double like torso articulation and basically bend it up like that so that the the back end is touching the upper back. After that, you bend these macaroni pieces back into like this sort of straight in lined up position. Then after that, you rotate the legs like so, and then rest the legs onto the arms. And then after lining everything up, here we have Revrin in his sort of like space jet thingy mode. It's like a flight mode kind of thingy. not a whole lot going on here. It's a more or less simplistic a, like jet mode, flight mode conversion. Like it can stand up on its own, uh, mostly thanks to the tail, so like the tail esque section. But ultimately, it's a simplistic thing. It's not. It's like a kind of like more simplistic thing. The other mode, on the other hand, is I feel like it's more interesting. So from here, what you do is you rotate it up this way. You rotate the arms like so, making having those become the legs. Then you fold the talons in and flip the talons up so they're pointed forward. Then after that, you turn these macaroni pieces around, then rotate the legs rotate the legs, then you bend them in a semi like wing like position. Then you flip down, then you flip over the tail section, have it so it's resting somewhat like that. And then after that, here you have Revrin in his sort of bird beast mode. And I'm actually kind of pleased. I'm actually more so pleased with this mode, to be honest. I actually do kind of like how the arms sort of form, how the like claw, how like the claw hands sort of form like the talon feet for the bird mode. And I also added like these clear pieces back here to sort of act as like heel spurs, and that is honestly like pretty effective. Like despite how like top heavy this thing feels, it honestly stands up pretty well. And it has like a good range of articulation in the legs because these were like essentially the robot arms. And then there's the bird like head with like, and you have like your sort of bird head thing like here. And while yes, you can't really turn his head all that much. You can like rotate it and like move it up and down somewhat, and so that you can like so that the bird like beast mode can like emote a bit. And then obviously, of course, there are the wings, which can of course flap, like the sort of wing things. And then the macaroni pieces, I'd imagine these act more or less like sort of guns, because like this is like an armored like bird beast thing. And yeah, and weirdly enough, because of the ball joint I added here, this also weirdly enough acts as a turret. And so you can like rotate it and you can like so you can have it so it's like blasting all kinds of targets. Like the jet mode, like that. The jet mode's like fine. It's like I feel like that was like an optional thing that I like sort of added later. Well, like this bird mode was like definitely it for me. Like this I feel like was something. This I feel like was something that was really neat to put together. And then of course like doing more comparisons, doing some final comparisons. Here it is next to the same minifigure. It is like a little bit shorter. It's essentially doing like a handstand sort of thing with like his legs out. And then here he is next to Ditrusion. Like it's like a little like squat, little like buff, little like bird beast. I think this turned out. I think this is the mode that turned out the best. I think. And yeah, it's like I def yeah, and then just like the tail that just like rests there. But with that, I think that's pretty much it for Revrin here. Of course, I will be posting instructions at sometime soon. I'll be posting like a video on how to build this guy. Like sometime soon. With let's see what else. Am I missing something? I'm pretty. I am pleased with how this turned out overall. Yeah, and yeah, I guess that's it. That is it for Revrin. If you enjoyed this video, consider to like and subscribe, and maybe even comment if you want. And of course, I will be posting again sooner or later.